Hello everybody and welcome back to One Leeds, and we are back. It is the return of the tactical breakdown of the opposition club, and today we are talking about Chelsea. Now, Leeds United and Chelsea take each other on at the weekend. It's going to be a spicy affair. The reunion with Frank Lampard. Bielsa's still 3-1 up on old Frankie boy, and yeah, he's got the job at Chelsea, obviously, that we've known for a couple of seasons now after his Derby debacle. And yeah, we're just going to take a look at exactly what Chelsea have been doing and deploying this season. So for this game in particular, I don't want to talk about Chelsea versus Spurs. I want to sort of bring it back a little bit to a game that I did watch earlier on in the season with Chelsea playing Brighton at the Amex. It was a really good game. I thought Brighton were really unlucky as well. Chelsea kind of figured out their tactical way of playing at that point as well, and I think it's a really good game to sort of judge it on, really. And we're going to sort of embed their player profiles right now as well into this tactical breakdown. So obviously, making it dead simple, Chelsea are a very good team. They're not going to be far away from the title this year as well. I think they're that good. They've got a lot of talent. A lot of money has been spent by Frank and Roman. So there's also a lot of pressure on Chelsea this year. You know, when there's a lot of money spent by a club, you know, by a chairman, there's always going to be an expectation of pressure from the fans. Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, Ziyech have come in, amongst others, you know, Thiago Silva, and they are there for a reason to bolster Chelsea into title contenders, and they are that this season. So I said in my previous video, we have to measure expectations, and we do. You know, we go into Chelsea and we go to every game to win games, and that's the difference with Leeds United and other clubs in this division. Other clubs would play Chelsea and settle for a draw at Stamford Bridge. We won't. We'll go and cause them problems, and we'll go out to win. The difference is with teams like Chelsea, you know, with teams like Manchester City and Liverpool, they are expected to beat Leeds just because of the metric of how much they spend, you know, and Chelsea are no exception to that. But like Man City and like Liverpool, we've gone there, and for me, we should have taken something from the Liverpool game and we should have beaten Manchester City. So that is another metric to balance this game on. And Lampard will be aware of that. As I've said continuously, he lost out 3 separate times to Bielsa in the Championship, and we deployed the exact same system. It was the high press system, and Frank really struggled to break that down. Let's be right, the semi-final, that was just Leeds absolutely buckling under pressure. It was nothing to do with Frank Lampard's strategy or tactical awareness. With all respect, it was just Leeds completely buckling under the pressure. And what they like to do from the goalkeeper, Mendy, who's made a considerable difference from when Kepa was in net, very good goalkeeper, is they're not afraid to go long, and they will hit the front man from the goalkeeper. They don't really like playing the ball out from the back, and the reason for me, because of that, is the reason behind that is because I don't feel Chelsea are that good at building from the back. You know, that they don't deal with that high press system, and this was displayed against Brighton when you had the supply to Jorginho cut off by Basuma, and the forward two were just high pressing on the back two, and Chelsea really struggled with that. So that direct play was inexistent from moment one, really, and that's really interesting. I feel if the ball does go out of play and Mendy is looking to pass the ball out from the back, I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to go direct, and if he goes direct, if he goes long, we've got Robin Koch, who I think is one of the best one-on-one defenders in the division when it comes to aerial competency. I think he's very good in the air, so that's going to be really interesting to see whether or not, if Chelsea do continue to go long, the difference is going to be the second ball pickup. Now, the second ball pickup with Leeds United, it's not been great in my personal opinion. I think Everton at the weekend, it was okay, but that second ball pickup is absolutely key in the Premier League, and it coincides with the midfield battle as well. If you win the midfield battle, as I continuously say, you win the game, and what encompasses that is the second balls. And you know, if you've got, for example, Tammy Abraham up front, or you've got, you know, Timo Werner up front, and if they're playing the 4-3-3 system, they're going to use the sort of, you know, either Werner or Ziyech as inside forwards. And if the ball does go to Tammy Abraham, you're going to get the inside forwards picking up that second ball. And that's where Leeds need to be really in tune with what's going on. But, you know, there is going to be so many interesting tactical battles as well, you know, with the 4-3-3 that Lampard is probably likely to to deploy against Leeds, he's really going to want to make a statement, and he's really going to want to come out and play against Leeds United, which is perfect for us. It's absolutely perfect. We've seen that against all the big clubs this year. I think Lampard as well, it's a pride thing with Leeds. I think there's a lot that's gone on between Leeds United and Frank Lampard in particular, and now he has the artillery. He's going to want to come against Leeds. You know, he's going to want to absolutely. He's sort of like the US Army. Do you know what I mean? He's got all the cannons, he's got all the tanks in the world, and now he's going to want to come against a little diminutive country in his eyes as he sees it. And I think that's how he's going to want to really break Leeds down, and he's going to want to show it as well, because for me, Frank Lampard hasn't really shown it against Leeds so far, in my personal opinion, from a tactical point of view. So it's going to be really interesting to see. But one of the things that, you know, we talk about artillery, we talk about tanks, we talk about cannons, we talk about, you know, personnel. It is going to be someone like Pulisic. You know, he is back from injury. They've got a lot of players at their disposal, and this kid's one of the best. And ironically, he is American, but he's an excellent football player. He's back. He was on the bench against Tottenham Hotspur, and that's going to be a real boost for Lampard's side. What the interesting thing is going to be as well is, you know, if Leeds are deploying this high press system, which I fully believe us to do, and maybe having a little bit of a high line, that route one ball from Chelsea could work. You know, with the likes of Werner's pace in and behind. Obviously, you've got someone like Pulisic who may start. I don't know, but if they can get in and behind with that route one ball, that could cause Leeds a lot of problems. And what I do like about Chelsea, and what I will say sort of with James and Chilwell, is they do like to get forward. And when they like to get forward as well, there's almost like a 1-2 with the right winger and obviously the left winger on the either side. And that's where sometimes they can overload the fullback. And that's where it's absolutely key for someone like Jack Harrison and Rafinha to follow that fullback. You know, and Reece James for me he's arguably the best right back in the division, and I'll put him alongside Trent. Really, ability-wise, his crossing efficiency is unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. And if he starts getting some space on that right-hand side, he's going to almost act as a winger, and that is where they can cause Leeds a lot of problems as well. So Leeds need to be really effective, as I've said multiple times, in this man-marking system. But every single player on the pitch has to be a 10 out of 10 to get something from this game. And what normally you can see from someone like Reece James as well, I actually think he's the key man in this game. We can talk about Havertz, we can talk about Werner and Ziyech, but I do think he is the key man. I really do. What he can sometimes do as well, we saw this at Wigan for Reece James. He can play in that midfield role, and what you'll see is when Chelsea are coming forward, their sort of right back almost goes into the midfield and joins that attack as well. If he's not sort of out wide, he will create that extra midfield body, and that's where Chelsea can get a heck of a lot of space. Now, what I do presume that Chelsea will do as well is they're going to go into sort of a 4-4-2 out of possession, which means maybe Mount goes a bit further wide, and, you know, that extra third body who is, you know, playing in that front three is also going to drop into a midfield four. So that's what they normally do, a 4 or a 5, which means that obviously that's going to try stop and prevent the Leeds United overlap, which is so effective and dynamic out wide. But what I have seen with Chelsea sometimes is a little bit of indiscipline in terms of the 4-3-3. Sometimes you will get all three pushing forward, the offensive players pushing forward into a 3. And obviously with the centre-back, if you're getting someone like Timo Werner or you're getting someone like Ziyech coming out of position and pressing Liam Cooper, that's where Cooper finds someone like Dallas. That's where Leeds can find themselves in a 2-on-1 situation going forward. And as well, this Brighton game, I remember watching it and just seeing the amount of dribbles that Lamptey and Solly March had against Chelsea. I think it was in the 5-6 region, so we really can get at them out wide. I understand that they've got a lot of talent out wide. I think Chilwell is susceptible, and I think that is where Rafinha could get a lot of joy. I think Rafinha, as a technical footballer, could really hurt Chilwell, and we could gain a lot of space and advantage down that side in particular. Now, what we do need to be careful of as well is when, you know, they sometimes can get their defensive midfield. If they do drop into a 4-2-3-1, what sometimes can happen is the two defensive midfielders actually press high with the midfield and the strikers as a collective. Now, what they can do there is recover the ball in someone like Kante or Jorginho or Kovacic. They can recover that ball high, and that's where Leeds are in a lot of danger because you've got 5 Chelsea players flooding forward straight away. But obviously what this means is if Leeds can exploit that press, we can get past that press, that's where they're going to be in a lot of trouble, because it's going to be really interesting to see whether or not the likes of Kai Havertz, the likes of Ziyech are going to be able to follow the men diligently, which we kind of saw with Richarlison and James at the weekend. They really struggled to do, and you know, you've got these luxury players, but are they going to be able to rigorously run with Leeds United's sort of way of the style of playing and Bielsa's methods, because a lot of these players will not have faced that before, and that's where it can be a shock to the system for a lot of opposition teams. But Leeds go to every game to win, and if we can beat that press, if we can overload them in the wide areas, that is going to be very advantageous for Leeds United. It's going to be very interesting to see where all these luxury players are going to be able to. Are they going to be able to dig in? Are they going to be able to get in the trenches and get dirty and defend for their team and run for 90 minutes minimum? Because that's what's going to be really interesting about Chelsea, because they've got all the flamboyant players in the world, which can hurt us, the individual quality, which can hurt us, and we can't be naive for that. But can they work as a unit to stop Leeds United? That's what I'm going to be really interested to see. Liverpool just did it, and that's because of a Leeds mistake. Man City struggled to do it, and Leeds should have won that game, as did Arsenal. So that's what's going to be really interesting. We saw with Everton at the weekend. For me, some luxury players couldn't hang with Leeds in terms of fitness. And for me, in football games, yeah, you can win it on individual quality, but fitness is a very, very close second. So let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. Do you agree with what I've said? Where do you think Leeds can beat Chelsea? And we'll have some more content out later on this week. I hope you enjoyed, guys, and I'll see you in a bit.